Okay, I think we're live. If everything's working as it should be. Well, hello to Musical Aviator and Biori, who are already in the chat. Nice to see you. I don't know if you can tell my lighting's different today. I don't know if that's better or not. And hello, Tendai. Nice to see you. It's very hard. I don't know. Basically, I think the webcam on this laptop is really shitty. And I maybe should get a better option for live streaming. But, you know, c'est la vie, I guess, as the saying goes. Animals, hey there, how's it going? But, yes, I might experiment more with live streaming sometime. I've often thought of trying Twitch, but I don't know how that works if you're still meant to only do gaming on there, or you know, you can do stuff like this on there. I don't know how that works. It's a strange and mysterious world. I'm old and I don't cope with change or new things. And I know Twitch is not a particularly new thing. Heine, going to VidCon. See you there. Yes, the big nerdy YouTube event in Melbourne this weekend. For the second time in Melbourne. Probably bigger than last year. It will be very interesting to see what happens and what's on. I mean, I don't even really know who, you know, is going to be there. If I look at the VidCon app, the lineup. See, if I look at these names, Previous, the Ling Space, never Aaron Kylo, Abby Woods, Abika, Adam Ali, Adam Bianchi, Adam Burstin, lots of Adams. There are an enormous number of Adams, which is really quite weird. Hey, Tara and Catherine. Oh no, Tara, you've got no. You've got to be prepared, Catherine. You've got to have something for all occasions. Huh? That's why I have it all there. So, yes, I think it's just basically a sign of I don't know all these people. Oh, well, there's a lot of people going to be there. Hey, Frankie, how's it going? Oh, yes, musical outfit. That little news tidbit you put in there at the start. I did not actually see that story, but it doesn't surprise me. Apparently, surprise, surprise, Victoria's armed robbery squad kept a stash of weapons to plant on suspects, and they treated a fellow officer who refused to go along with it very, very badly. Hey, look at history. You've got New South Wales cops, the notoriously corrupt New South Wales cops, Roger Rogerson and his crowd, you know, they would kill a fellow officer who wouldn't go along with their shit. Hey, Charlie, how's it going? Oh, yes, and musical event, for those who don't know, the Premier, you can tell it's an election year, big announcements, but the Premier announced a plan for an enormous rail project, an underground tunnel linking every rail line, every suburban rail line, which would make getting around Melbourne by public transport about 1 million times better. It is a fantastic plan. Remains to be seen what will come of it, because apparently the early predictions is this would take 30 years and, you know, cost $50 billion. I did note with interest former Conservative Premier of Victoria, Jeff Kennett, saying this is a good idea. It should get bipartisan support. This is a good thing for Victoria, but he thinks they're understating the cost. Like he called complete bullshit on the cost. He reckons it would cost way more than $50 billion. But the government says they're going to unveil more details of their costings and whatnot. So who knows? Frankie, you watched the thing. Oh, there you go. you must have confused it with something else. We had this conversation on the last live stream. You started a movie that you thought was The Thing. Must be no. The John Carpenter The Thing with Kurt Russell in it is a very good movie. Tendo with the puns on Musk's Boring Company. I mean, people have already floated like, hey, Elon Musk seems to like getting involved with projects in Australia. He did the battery thing with South Australia. Maybe you should talk to his Boring Company about this, because this is an incredibly significant project on so many levels. Oh God, Musical Aviator, that's a dark view of things. You don't want it to get NBN'd and turned into mixed technology. Combine it with buses, Ubers, and bikes. Yeah. It's like in and of itself, just as a transport hub, incredibly significant for Melbourne's future. Really good for businesses and industry, really good for people. Just a very good plan. But even think about it, a massive engineering project like that runs for decades, that would employ thousands and thousands of people, but also give local engineers the opportunity to work on such a huge project. It's all sorts of value. Oh, Henry, you didn't find my Q&A stream. I didn't do it because I did like a test run thing, and in order to do it, I'd have to be watching Q&A on iView, and there's about a minute delay from between iView and people actually watching on TV, and I thought that would be too disjointed. I didn't think that would work, so I didn't do it in the end. Animals, is the transport hub going to make Sunshine a nice place? No one's promising miracles. Eh? I lived in Sunshine for a while, but I mean, Sunshine, there's a fairly big area that is Sunshine. And I didn't live in deepest, darkest Sunshine, I guess. I'll tell you a true story, one I've probably told in a live stream before. It's a true story of the wilds of Sunshine. I was getting takeaway. I don't remember if it was pizza or fish and chips or whatever, but takeaway from the very heart of Sunshine, near Sunshine Station, in fact. And there was this guy with his little kid, with his son. And this guy, he was really seedy looking. He looked like the stereotype of like a junkie type, sort of skinny with tattoos and manky teeth. And he looked really quite mean and disturbing, and he's with his little kid, like under 10 years old. And but he's being like this really doting dad, and seemed to be really happy that he was there with his kid. And I was just thinking to myself, there you go. People who indulge in stereotypes, you'd look at that bloke and think he was dodgy as fuck, but look at him being a dad. Isn't that great? And just as I was thinking that, they're leaving, and I don't know, the kid's giving him a little bit of grief, and he growls at the kid, just goes like, "Get in the fucking car or I'll cut your dog's head off." And that was the first thing he said. There was no escalation like, "Come on, little fella, come on." No, come on, come on. It was literally the first thing he said when he said, "We're going." And the little one went, "Yeah, you get in the car or I'll cut your fucking dog's head off." And, oh, okay. There's all sorts of social issues going on there. But yeah. Henry, no, I did not watch Cat. See, I don't watch Q&A because it aggravates the shit out of me. It always makes me want to throw something at my own TV, and so I don't watch it. And it was classic Sunshine. My other favorite Sunshine story is much less disturbing than that. There's like one of those we sell everything shops there, and they had some bikes out the front, but I guess in order to reduce the chance of the bikes being stolen, the tires weren't pumped up. It was like a BMX type bike, and yeah, some local miscreant decided to try and steal a bike, and it wasn't chain up, so he jumped on it and he rides off on it, and I could hear the noise, like obviously got flat tires, which is really slowing how fast he can take off. But he's given it a good go, and the guy comes running out of the shop, chasing all around. And honestly, this bike was probably not worth very much at all. And bloke on the bike's pumping away for all he's worth, and guys running after him. It was quite the scene. I don't even remember what happened, if the guy got away or if I didn't see the conclusion. Then, Brody, do I take requests for topics? We talk about anything and everything. So there tends to be very wide-ranging topics of conversation. You should feel free to dive in. Yeah. Valley, Springwood, and Logan. I think we're talking. Springwood. Yeah, it's funny how often the suburbs repeat across the capital cities too. Sunshine, Springwood, Camp Crystal Lake. Nice, Bury. I like it. Yes, Camp Crystal Lake does sound good, doesn't it? Unlike Cape Fear, you knew something bad was going to happen when the people went to Cape Fear. It's just, there's more than a little foreboding in the name of that place. I've seen both versions of Cape Fear, actually. The more modern one, where Robert De Niro's the bad guy, and the original, where oh god, who was the cast? I think it was like Gregory Peck was the good guy, but the bad guy was not as buff as, like, Robert De Niro made himself really buff to be scary, and that's it. Robert Mitchum was the bad guy, and while Robert Mitchum is a very threatening dude, but he never got himself as buff as Robert De Niro got himself for the later version. So he spends the whole movie sucking his gut in. It's really, guys, when you suck your gut in, your shoulders tend to go back and your chest goes, and he literally is doing this the whole movie, and it's so noticeable. It's really quite humorous. There are some aspects of the original that are better, and there are some aspects of the remake that are better, although ultimately I did not really like the remake. It had some very good stuff in it, but it was not all there, quite honestly. Brody, I have seen Black Klansman. Very good film, by the way. Well worth seeing. And Topher Grace, who plays the head of the clan, David Duke, does a very good job. It's almost like, it feels like it's Topher Grace's first proper adult role, and I think he does quite well in it. I did not hear he got a threatening call. Was that a threatening call from someone who thought he was the real David Duke, or someone who supported the clan was angry at him? I didn't hear that story. Hey, Lisa, how you doing? But yes, of recent movies I've seen that I feel confident in recommending, Black Klansman, and the new Mission Impossible movie is quite good. I mean, obviously, yeah, like, it's action piled on action piled on action. And honestly, at the end, I was going, really? Really? We have to keep it going? Okay. But broadly, the new Mission Impossible is very good. Oh, yeah, Lisa, I heard you were catching up with Josh. I had to go, the family, because, okay, like, VidCon's on this weekend, and there's an event on Thursday night and on Friday night and holidays. So I'm not going to be around my family Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. So I felt guilty. I thought, I was going to hang out with Josh and maybe Lisa this evening, but no, I have to go home and make some dinner. There's another thing to a seminar on crowdfunding tomorrow that I was going to go to that I probably won't because I feel guilty. I have to spend more family time in the lead up to VidCon. Frankie, I've watched Zombieland a couple of times. I really enjoy Zombieland. That is a funny movie. So Josh was lovely but slot. That possibly was my fault. We both had 2 jugs, but what's the other one, Frank? Cruel Summer. I don't think I know that. I remember that was a Bananarama song, if I remember rightly, in the 80s. I don't know the movie though. Brody, Topher Grace or John Krasinski? In relation to the what? Do you just mean broadly? John Krasinski's done more interesting stuff than Topher Grace, so I'd probably put John Krasinski up first. I mean, you know, he's already had his directorial debut, which has gone really well. His sort of sci-fi horror movie where everyone has to be quiet, and you know, he's played big action man in a couple movies as well. Oh, Frank, yes, Bill Murray in Zombieland is very funny. Yes. Alicia, you have a creeper? I have creepers as well. Oh, Brody, I still haven't seen A Quiet Place. I'm not sure it would be fair to compare A Quiet Place and Black Klansman because I suspect they're very different movies. Black Klansman's like a drama inspired by actual events that feels very topical with what happened now. Whereas Quiet Place, by all accounts, is an extremely good uh, sort of horror suspense sci-fi thriller. You got any regrets, Garfield? Nice. Hi, Celtic King. We all love you too. CrossFitter, Castle Rock. That sounds. Oh, that's. Is that a British crime film? That sounds vaguely familiar. Oh, Frank, if you want just a fun British horror film, get Dog Soldiers if you haven't already seen it. It's a werewolf movie. It's basically a small group of British soldiers who are on. Oh God, what do you do when they're doing stuff? They're on maneuvers. They're on a training maneuvers, and they come up against some werewolves, and it's great. Sean Pertwee's in it. He's the lead. He's John Pertwee's son, one of the original Doctor Who's. Brady, do I like Peanuts? Oh, back in the day, I mean, Peanuts did some very groundbreaking stuff in the 60s and 70s. I didn't really read the later stuff of Peanuts, but if nothing else, I think you'd have to admit Peanuts was fairly groundbreaking in a lot of ways. And hello to Toby there with Celtic King as well. So yeah, okay, we're in movie talk already. I think. Have I watched any other movies? I mean, I got Deadpool 2 when it came out on disc. I wanted to watch the extended version and all the extras. There's an hour or 2 of extras on it, which was good. I quite like both the Deadpool films. Purely, how many werewolf movies has Sean Pertwee been in? I don't know. Oh, I thought Castle Rock sounded familiar. Yes, yes. It's Stephen King's books. There's a town of Castle Rock. Yes. Yeah, no, Frank, I think you'd really enjoy Dog Soldiers. It's a great fun movie, and how all the different soldiers react to the fact they're fighting werewolves and how quickly they accept it and how they react to the situation is really good. Charlie, it's been rumored heaps that they would get Sean Pertwee to play his dad as Doctor Who in a multi-Doctor thing, because there is very strong similarity between father and son, definitely. Tento, no, I have not seen the trailer for the Black Dynamite sequel. I didn't see the original Black Dynamite either or anything. And hey, Locust Trooper, how's it going? Yeah, I mean, what else is coming up? I want to see. Was it Pardon the Interruption? I think it's called. And there's a couple I've seen advertised that I really am interested in seeing. If I look at what trailers, oh my god, I can't believe there's a John English 3, for fuck's sake. I mean, I just saw there's going to be another True Detective season next year. I will be interested in that. A lot of people ragged on the second season of True Detective, but I quite liked it. No, I don't think it was as good as the first season, but it was different. And, that's what I like, different ones. So, and I'm seeing on Netflix, there is actually a season 2 of The End of the Fucking World. That's interesting. I watched season 1. It wasn't absolutely fantastic, but it certainly had its moments. I didn't mind it at all. I'm just looking to see if there's any other upcoming movies that I can think of that I want to see. I mean, I'll probably go and see Venom. I'm not super into it. But, I like Tom Hardy and it looks interesting, so I'll probably go see that. Brody, if I went back in time, what decade would I like to live in? I don't want to go back in time. I'm more fascinated with our world now. I mean, there's certain fascination with different periods, I think. But I've never gone like, oh, that time, I'd love to live in that time, or at least visit that time. Yeah, I honestly couldn't tell you. We're talking about how Celtic King wants to see everyone naked. Yes, we're all aware of that. That's a good way to put it, Biori. Prequels are rarely good. I don't want to be in a prequel to today. And Celtic King, I lived in the 1970s, okay? I lived in a few decades already. So I'm quite happy being here. Oh, it's nice talking to you, Brody. Peeler Sealer, yes, we do have a new PM. It's I think the 7th change in like a decade or so. Is like John Howard lost an election to Kevin Rudd, who pissed off his own party so much they replaced him with Julia Gillard, and then after all more fuckery, Rudd replaced Gillard again, and then Rudd lost to Tony Abbott in an election, and Tony Abbott pissed off his own party so much they replaced him Malcolm Turnbull, and then Malcolm Turnbull pissed off his own party so much they've just now replaced him with Scott Morrison. So there's been 7 prime ministers, 6 different people, 7 prime ministers in about a decade. I think I lose track of time sometime. If I quickly look up, when was John Howard PM? He was 2007. So it's slightly over. It's 11 years. So in the last dozen years, name under prime minister, there's been 7 different names. Well, 6 different names. One appeared twice. So a little bit turbulent. A little bit turbulent. Oh my God! Now we're talking about Planet of Blue, which literally just makes me say. I saw this thing on Twitter today with someone saying like, we need to say it. You shouldn't be embarrassed that use lube. There's no failing on anyone's part if you use lube in sex. I was thinking, who's dissing lube, for God's sake? What the fuck is wrong with people? Why do people say such fucked up shit? Why are you trying to shame people for using lube during sex, for fuck's sake? People are just so messed up. No, because still ScoMo. We need a better shorthand for him. I mean, he's a creepy evangelical Christian, homophobic, enforced all the most brutal border protection laws in Australia, very anti-workers' rights, climate change denier. So, I mean, what the fuck? Chapter Sultan, I agree with you broadly about the world being in one of its most progressive stages at the moment. Certainly, it's turbulent just now. It's very turbulent, disturbingly so. Yeah, Rukazan, I'd be Wangstain for a bit. Yes, yeah. I'd go with Wangstain as a nickname for fucking Morrison. But we'll see how it pans out. He's not going to be around long enough. Some of the estimates of how badly they're going to get creamed at the next election are amazing. Hey, Frank, thanks for dropping by on your lunch break. Catch you later, matey. Wow, basically the sitting government only has a 1-seat majority, and Turnbull's resigning. Apparently, he's not going to stay as a member of parliament until the election. He's just going to resign, and there'll be a by-election in his seat. And there's a very high chance the government will lose that. CrossFitter Turnbull said he's resigning on Friday, apparently. And there's a very high chance the government will lose the by-election, whether to an independent or to Labor, and in which means they would no longer have a majority in the parliament, and a vote of no confidence could be called. So, wow. And so that could bring on the general election sooner rather than later. The general election has to happen sometime in the next 6 months. But so best case scenario is they have a 1-seat majority. Some of the estimates are they will lose more than 40 seats in the election, which that's just a slaughter. I would bank on them losing 20, honestly. And look, every time I say like they're going to get creamed, people go, careful, careful, you never know, look at Drummond. And yeah, you never know, but our parliamentary system is different. And we've seen some voting trends in recent by-elections, and they're fairly predictable. And it's fairly predictable that the government will get creamed in the next election. And my money would be on them losing 20 seats. Some people have said they could lose 40, which is an absolute slaughter. Brody, have I heard of Spyro the Dragon coming to PS4? I haven't. I don't pay that close attention to gaming rumors, and Spyro is not one I was ever particularly into. But it's interesting what they bring back in some of the titles. Chapter Sultan, you do raise a good point that if they had understood the reason they were doing poorly in polling was not about their prime minister, it was about their policies, they might have instigated more change to policies. And it was super strange to see Turnbull repeatedly capitulating to the extreme right fringe of his own party. Like in some weird expectation they'd be nice to him, and they never were. It was quite bizarre to watch. He should have just stuck to his principles, because they're always going to treat him like shit. Hey, Wrestling Days, Big Pat, how you going, mate? Further and Sealer, I didn't get to do the Q&A thing because I did like a little test run, and there's like a minute or more lag between iView and what's going out on TV, and I thought it would be too disjointed for viewers, so I didn't do it. I was also feeling quite tired yesterday. I spent the day walking around the city, and I did way more walking than I normally do, and I was quite tired at the end of the day, quite honestly. Oh, Catherine, I think our voting system is so much better than the Americans. First, I actually do think compulsory voting is broadly a positive thing. But that whole thing in America, the vote being on a work day and people have to get off work to vote, it's a fucking farce. It's just like it's not like this. There's no other way to look at it that it's set up to disadvantage poorer working people. The whole thing is set up to disadvantage poorer working people, and it's just fucked. I tell you what, the Electoral College. I look honestly, the Electoral College is not quite as bad as people sometimes. Sometimes make out, in my opinion. I saw you post that online, Pat. It's your birthday. Happy birthday for tomorrow. Because the thing with the Electoral College in the US, see, a lot of people would go like, oh, you know, Trump's president, but he didn't get a majority of the vote. Yeah, but there's to go with a straight majority vote is also unfair, because if you don't allow for if you don't allow some adjustment for, hey, those people in rural areas which cover a great big physical area but don't have a great big population, they have to have some proportional representation compared to the people in the city, because otherwise they're just going to get fucked over all the time. And that happens in Australia too. Just each seat for members of the lower house isn't exactly the same number of people in it. Some people get into the lower house with far less votes than others. A balance needs to be struck, and people don't always do it well. America does it particularly badly. As you say, CrossFitter, the gerrymandering in the US is extreme. Like, it's absolutely absurd, and I don't think it's hyperbole to call it criminal. Some of the gerrymandering that's been set up in the US is obscene. Like I said, I honestly don't think it's hyperbole to call it criminal. It's a hijacking of the electoral process, making it completely unfair. That's a far bigger issue than the Electoral College. The gerrymandering in the seats is really fucked, and it's absolutely absurd. And it's mainly, but not only, Republicans who've done the most extreme gerrymandering, where they've structured electorates in absolutely absurd ways to all but ensure they win forever. It's absolutely ridiculous what they've done. It's so dishonest. But there is, in my not at all humble opinion, in my not at all humble opinion, the American system is particularly fucked. No, Celtic King, I don't think Mrs. Angry would give a back massage, and I am not talking about my kids on the internet, quite honestly. Oh, you watched the Q&A with Kata Hansen and Christensen. Oh yes, screeching coal is cheaper, makes more jobs than green energy. It's weird how untrue that is. Like there are two reasons why coal is cheap. One is the billions of dollars in subsidies they've received over the years, and two is they don't have to pay for the cost of the cleanup. They're basically the people who are profiting from coal. Are not paying the full price. It's like, oh, dig it up out of the ground and we burn it. And the burning of the coal causes enormous environmental damage that if there was any fairness in the system, the generators of the damage would be responsible for fixing the damage. But they're not. When you look into the absolute total cost of coal, it's far more expensive than renewables. Eric said you got the Russians involved in America. Yeah, it's the whole Russian thing is very strange. Oh, Pat, you're gonna put your basketball game on Facebook on Saturday. Nice. I'll probably be a bit involved in VidCon, mate. No, I'll try. Not try. I will make a video tomorrow night. Probably a Wanker Fat Wednesday video, uh, and because you might not see me on the internet for a little while. Not. I don't think I will be posting anything on. Like I probably won't do a live stream on Thursday. Probably won't do a video on. I could maybe do my Friday video during the day. Actually, I might try and do that because then Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday are going to be full on. I'm not sure how long it's going to take me to recover from the weekend. Like in the job market at the moment. I was talking to someone today. Oh, I want someone to start really soon. I go, well, I can start really soon. And it's like, I mean, they might even say Monday. And the way I phrased it is, I'm going away this weekend, and I'm not sure if I'll be back on Monday. Um, and the truth is, I'm not sure I will be at all functional on Monday. Celtic King, yes, I got a haircut. I haven't coloured it. I'm probably going to colour it. A haircut and beard trim. See it properly in a video tomorrow, I would say. But yes, I want to make myself pretty for a VidCon. Celtic King, AZ is okay. I will be, unless something happens, I'll be catching up with him tomorrow, hopefully to make a video. So you'll get to see AZ on your video screens tomorrow night, all going well. Catherine, colour it red. I have in the past. I've coloured it red and I've coloured it purple. Honestly, I'll probably be going a little conservative this time and just colouring it brown. I like that we're saying, pretty enough, finger guns. For some reason, we did that. We're going finger bang. It's like, no, cheeky lad. No. Oh, Catherine, I was wondering what you're referring to with chocolate teapot. Tendai's line. Clean coal makes as much sense as a chocolate teapot. I mean, yeah, it's just like the lies put about by the coal lobby are bizarre. Catherine, yeah, I'm going conservative. Well, I'm going to job interviews. So I'm going conservative for the job interviews. I have to be in a job for a while to do something wacky with the hair, get them used to me, rather than do something outrageous straight away to weed people out. Timothy, that's an interesting opening line. Zombie Trump. In many ways. I think that might be a popular Halloween costume this year. Is that what you're suggesting, Timothy? Trump in a prison outfit? I reckon that might be a popular Halloween costume this year. I know. I'm glad you'll know boundaries, Luke. You're keen but don't want to muddy the friendship. Nice. Pat, no, I didn't see Luna today. Might see Luna at Vidcon. He's been super busy. I haven't actually seen her in person for ages. Ha! Feeling silly. You think I should go for a mullet? I haven't had a mullet since the 90s. I kind of had like a, you know, the things sort of late 80s, early 90s, the faux hawk mullet thing. I actually did have that for a little while I was at college. So, yeah. Mm. Hey, Timothy, you say Trump costumes for either Halloween or Comic Con or a work party. Yes. Thanks for sharing, Kelsey King. Toby's walked in on you naked a few times. Fair enough. Jeff Salt, what's my thoughts on the 400 million charity versus 190 million loan and pharmacy? Look, the rural sector does need to be supported when things are bad because we need to support our rural sector long term. I grew up in the country, okay? I grew up around farmers. And the one little bit of conversation I like to have when I say, oh, everything's really bad, like this widespread drought, the farm families need support. They do. It's just that when I grew up, I noticed an overwhelming attitude from farmers and farm lobby groups that if anyone but them was getting money, they were bludgers and scumbags and ripping off the taxpayers. So I would like to see a little less of that on the farm community. I'm completely on board with supporting our rural sector. Look, for no other reason than it makes long-term economic sense. Losing our agricultural sector is a very, very bad thing long term. So even just pure economics, it makes sense. I would just like some of the more conservative elements of the farm community who shit on anyone who isn't them getting money to maybe stop being such fucking hypocrites. Hey, video games. Quicksand explains the flannel. Mate, I'm all about comfort in winter, and a flannelette shirt's like a nice hug from your clothes on these cold days. Alex Tripper, anything to help with a cold? Mrs. Angry, who works in health, tells me zinc. Zinc is about the one thing that can help with the symptoms and the duration. Vitamin C does not have that big an effect, but she assures me zinc supplements are the way to go if you have a cold. Sorry, I saw that too, Peter and Sheila. Trump was at a primary school in America and they're coloring the American flag, and he actually colored it wrong because the stripes are red and white alternating, and he colored one red, then he colored another one blue. It's like he doesn't even know the American flag. That's fantastic. Flannelette PJs, I sleep nude. Flannelette sheets, though. Flannelette sheets in winter are amazing. Uh, the and I wear my PJs when I'm not in bed. Basically, I do like pajama pants and a robe, which I actually wore in a video recently. Which is, it's not flannelette, but it's very fuzzy, it's very warm. In fact, if it's not actively cold, the robe is too warm. So, but yes, flannelette is awesome as far as I'm concerned. Oh, Timothy, that's an interesting proposal. Should the government buy the farm and get the farmers to run them? Socialist farms. Again, I think there's some tension between how much farming should be subsidized and how much should be free market. I mean, the joke that I often heard growing up, the National Party, who were called the Country Party when I grew up, the party that purports to represent rural people. I loved it when I heard them referred to as agrarian socialists, which means that when you look at their policies, they basically want the farm sector subsidized out the wazoo, but they want to keep any profits. It's basically, if they're losing money, the government should pay them to make up for it. But if they're making money, they should keep that money. And that's not even an exaggeration of their position. That's basically how they see the world, which is a bit messed up. Like, did I hear a trade war is going to get the US in another recession? I didn't hear anyone specifically say it. Be an unsurprising result of it. Oh, yes. Tento, where does fully automated luxury gay space communism come from? I've heard that phrase before. Topical Australian joke musical aviator. Knock, knock. Who's there? Peter. Peter who? Scott Morrison. Womp, womp. Nice. Feelers here is a MASH episode where everyone was after the only pair of woolen underwear in a harsh winter. Oh, dear. Chapter 12. No, the mines basically socialist. No, they fucking should be, in my opinion. They used to be. Mining in Australia was basically socialized, but it got privatized. But basically, in the last couple of decades, fucking complete scam artists have exploited Australia's mineral wealth for their own gain and just siphoned billions of dollars out of the country. It's a massive scam that completely fucked over the majority of the country to enrich an incredibly tiny number of people, like almost single-digit number of people. Like a trip, do I think they'll have a recession? I think they're at high risk. You get a short-term boom, which is basically a continuation of the growth from the Obama era, and Trump's policies are just so bad, the chance of there being like cascading collapses of industries is very high. Oh yeah, Tara, I think you're right. In as much as we did try to look up what Celtic King told us was his Pornhub channel, and we couldn't see anything. That's my line, and I'm sticking to it. Oh dear. Oh yeah, apparently the Iron Sky sequel is finally coming out. I saw a trailer recently, and they even joked about how the fact they're basically 3 years overdue with the sequel. So it's nice that they're you know, referencing their own difficulties in that. Yes. Oh, Catherine, the sequel to Iron Sky is called The Coming Race or something. The Earth is hollow and there are dinosaurs in there, and there's a reanimated Hitler riding a T-Rex. It looks wonderful. Looks absolutely wonderful. Locust Trooper, do I think Trump will get in 2020? Dude, the world is a strange and mysterious place. I look, when particularly the events of the last week or two, when Trump's lawyer and the head of his election campaign were both found guilty of quite serious criminal offences, I think he's not that far off staring down the barrel of serious charges. Oh, people who haven't heard of Iron Sky, honestly, it was a crowd-funded movie. It's very campy. It's space Nazis. It's like the Nazis fled Germany not for Argentina, but the moon. They set up a secret base on the moon at the end of World War II, and they've been building up their power on the moon ever since. And yeah, we have a conflict between Earth and the Moon Nazis. But they stepped it up one notch even further for the sequel, that the Earth is hollow and there are dinosaurs at the center of the Earth, and there's a reanimated Hitler riding a T-Rex. So They've gone all out with this one. But yeah, it was literally supposed to come out 3 years ago. Probably funding problems, they couldn't finish it, but it's finally coming out. Video games, you thought your Dalek was a space Nazi. They pretty much are. Daleks pretty much are space Nazis. Yeah, Iron Sky is, unsurprisingly, after that synopsis, you may not be surprised to learn Iron Sky is fairly tongue-in-cheek. Alexa, what do I think about Trump's Space Force? It's like, it's a very obvious distraction from his serious fucking problems. Just like every time there's some serious problem with Trump, he comes up with something outrageous as a distraction. It's just like, we're going to have Space Force. Look, just fund NASA properly, for fuck's sake. I mean, you know, what's wrong with you? Well, actually, I have pretty definite opinions about what's wrong with Trump. And I don't really make a secret of them. So yeah, Trump's pretty fucked. Yes, it's just a distraction. I mean, and you know, it's really weird. Trump's got to be panicking about two things. One is everyone close to him either being convicted or turning to give evidence on him, and two is basically the midterm elections in November. There's a more than reasonable chance that the Democrats will come out of that with a majority. And as soon as the Democrats have a majority, they're going to move to impeach him. And he must know that. So I'd say the combination of those two things really seriously giving him nightmares, I'd imagine. Well, see, Locust Trooper, that's the disturbing thing. Like, when we think back, we were like, Bush, Jesus Christ, how stupid is this motherfucker? How corrupt is this motherfucker? Jesus, look. And then Trump's just like, oh my God, that's like orders of magnitude worse. And yeah, how much further could it go? It's a disturbing thought, isn't it? Chapter Salt, his lawyers obviously flipped on him. His lawyer pled guilty to a bunch of charges and said in court, I committed that crime at the specific instruction of Donald Trump. And that's been accepted as a statement of fact by the court. It's like, okay, he's in so much trouble. Yes. Oh, Timothy, that's fairly creative. You think we could have a Trump movie called Trump in Gitmo, or a Trump porno called Trump in Uranus? Oh my God, just the thought of a Trump porno creeps me out. But I mean, porn makers did do it. They did make a porn of the last one. I know there was one that had, you know, they had doubles for Hillary Clinton and Sarah Palin and Condoleezza Rice. And I'm sure there was one with an Obama. There must have been Obama pornos. There just must have been. Oh, Timothy, am I going to watch the Slender Man movie? Probably not in the cinemas. No. It's ages since I've seen a horror movie that I thought was worthwhile. Oh my God, Rukasan, you know the name of it, Nayland Palin. I mean, I know the name of it. Now that you've said that, yes, that was the name of it, Nayland Palin. Yes, it's centered around Sarah Palin. Oh God. Yeah, yeah, Timothy, I've not really seen a horror movie that I thought was worth. Again, The Nun. Look, I might watch The Slender Man and The Nun on video, but yeah, it's ages since I've found a horror movie that I thought was worthwhile. Because I've seen a bunch of the other ones made by those people who made The Nun, and I was like, oh, this has got some, yeah. Oh my God. Yes, Bioris, the Marble Hornets, the original fucking Slenderman conspiracy. That was so full on. If you've never watched it, binge watch Marble Hornets on YouTube by yourself at night while there's a storm on, because their pacing is so slow and deliberate, and it's absolutely amazing. They just slowly build this mystery. The patience of the people who put that together, they didn't rush to, because what Marble Hornets is supposed to be? It's some guys making an independent film. It's called Marble Hornets, and it never got made because shit went wrong. And this guy is piecing together bits of stuff they shot as like a documentary. He's trying to understand what happened, and it's Slenderman. Slenderman is stalking them and fucking up their movie. And oh my God, the build in Marble Hornets is whoa! It's fucking amazing. Like a stripper. The big questions: what's happened to the Western worlds and Americans, and why is everything dumbed down in the last couple of years? I don't know, man. I really don't. But you called it pretty much. Chapter, you're talking about Clinton getting an impeachment vote because of a consensual blowjob. Yeah, well, see, his impeachment was for lying to them. But that's the thing. A lot of people actually get mixed up. They think impeachment is a criminal process. It's not. It's a political process that kind of has legal trappings. It's not. But if a president is impeached, it's not, that's it, you're going to jail. It's that under the Constitution, the Congress has declared the president has committed high crimes and has lost the right to hold his office, which is why an impeachment vote on Clinton for his sexual antics is fucking ridiculous. Again, they say the impeachment was because he lied about it, but it's supposed to be for treason and high crimes, not just pure political point scoring. Rukasen, you're right. It's not that different to a vote of no confidence, but there's all sorts of legal trappings around it that are a bit more serious than a vote of no confidence. Oh, Timothy, what's my favorite video game that's story driven? Ooh, probably depends how you define story driven. I mean, recently I've really enjoyed playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, Yakuza Zero, Grand Theft Auto 5. I always loved on the PS2 Grand Theft San Andreas. I think they qualify as story driven, don't they? I've started to play God of War. I haven't done much of it though. Like do I think reality shows are responsible for dumbing down? Look, uh, it does sometimes feel like all of our media has been dumbed down, and but you can also point to elements of the media that are of a much higher standard, much more demanding intellectually than they have been in the past. I honestly think, as much as I like the internet, uh, the way the internet is given a voice to idiots, basically, and also how the internet has undermined the economic model of old media, uh, I think that combination there has had a negative effect. What's in the skull bottle on my fridge? This is I have a bunch of skull bottles. This one though, this is a herbal tincture. It's got is made from a Polish rectified spiritus. Looks like I need to filter it. I wonder if it's like, if there's growing stuff that'll kill me in there. Yeah. This is just very high alcohol, basically, and I left the herbs in it too long, and the herb flavors it's too strong. I can only put a little bit of that in a drink. There's this little skull decanter. That's lime vodka. I'm gonna make myself a drink with that. Video games, right? They could remaster the old GTA 3 games. That might work. Chapter, I do also agree with you that the previous gatekeepers of information before the internet limited what we do. Look, I am broadly in flavor in favor of the internet and the democratization of speech. But I also think, as I've always said, the internet's greatest strength is also its greatest weakness. The internet has given a platform to all voices, which, you know, the way there were gatekeepers before was bad. And no matter who you are or what you're into, you're not alone on the internet. There's someone who'll go along with you. Those are both positives and negatives. It's like, oh, I'm a marginalized queer kid in a small rural community, but I can connect with people online and not feel alone. Yay, I don't feel suicidal anymore. You can also be a fucking idiot who believes in a hidden valley in the Alps where there are giants striding around, and I'm not making that up. Fields of the Nephilim. There are actual people who think that's a real thing. And the flat earthers. It's just like, what the fuck, you know, people. Hey, Miss Foxification. Oh yes, Filler and Sealer. That was a Crystal Skull vodka bottle, which I bought basically for the bottle. It's a good vodka too. And these are just Skull decanters that I got from a $2 shop. They cost more than $2, but yeah, they're like from a $2 shop. Oh, Timothy, I reckon you're on it. Yeah, Rockstar remastered LA Noire. I reckon they must have seriously considered remastering the older GTA games. But yeah, I played GTA San Andreas so much. Not so much GTA 3 or Vice City, but San Andreas I played so much. That was so much fun. This probably the one thing I missed from GTA 5 is like when you went to gym, you didn't instantly beef up. You know how you could beef up your character in GTA 3? If you went to the gym heaps, he'd get really jacked. And if you just ate junk food all the time, he'd get fat. And of course, that's not realistic because that takes months, not hours. But I really enjoyed that aspect of GTA 3. Did I say hi, Miss Foxification? If I didn't, hello, and hello, Captain Fizzman. But yeah, maybe Rockstar want to do a new GTA rather than remaster. I don't know, but yeah, I'd actually, if they remastered and expanded GTA San Andreas, I would almost definitely get it. What games changed my life? I don't know that any game changed my life. Oh yes, Fizzman coming down for VidCon. But games that were kind of pivotal and that still have an effect on me. See, I'm a big Zelda fan, like particularly Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64. That was such an amazing game. Uh, and of course, Breath of the Wild is amazing at a different level. But one bit that really got me is when you finish Ocarina of Time, there's a party. It's like, yay, we defeated Ganondorf, party, 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 party. But then off to the side are the two characters who've lost the most important, because the most important person to them, because everyone, you know, Link comes into contact with these people along the way and they elevate to another plane to be guardians, and they're gone when they do that. And one, you know, was his original friend, and the other little friggin' Hylian guy who he had a crush on her, and she's just gone. And then there's the fish dude whose daughter is gone as well. And it just really brings it in. It's like okay, everyone's celebrating that we won and beat Ganondorf, but there are these people off the side. They lost the person most important to them in the world. The person in the world most important to them was sacrificed for this victory, and they're not okay with it. And that was like, oh fuck, wow, Jesus. Oh yeah, video games. Majora's Mask is freaky. Also very enjoyable. Much darker than Ocarina of Time, but Ocarina of Time, I just think, is in a place of its own. Alex Strip, you played? I never played GoldenEye. The shooter I had for the Nintendo 64 was Perfect Dark, which I really enjoyed. Video games. Leroy Jenkins. Where did Leroy Jenkins come in? Oh yeah, the World of feeling silly. You were saying the World of Warcraft episode on South Park was hilarious. Video games. You're saying it didn't have a Leroy Jenkins reference, but it did really. They never said Leroy Jenkins, but that one bit when they finally finish and beat the guy they've been trying to beat, they go, "What do we do now?" Well, now we play the game, and because Cartman's always going, "Carl, you have to do that and get ready," because Cartman's telling people how to get ready for the thing, and that to me is a direct reference to the guy who's leading the attack in the Leroy Jenkins video, because before Leroy Jenkins just charges in screaming Leroy Jenkins, he's doing all that. So I actually think they did have a Leroy Jenkins reference. They just didn't reference Leroy himself. Ooh, Miss Foxification getting the VR headset. Nice, nice. I still love it though when you just have to charge in to something, get something done. If you just go Leroy Jenkins and people get it, it's like when people don't get it, you go, no, you're sad. You've missed something important. But just being able to say, like, when you're just going to go in and do something, to just go Leroy Jenkins, it's good when people get it. Hey, look, I think I need some more ice. I've got to get some more ice. And my poor old legs don't want to get me up. Okay, let me get some ice. Okay. Timothy, you think games aren't as hard as they used to be? I'm not really into difficult games. I'm not sure how much I want to keep slogging through. I just started playing God of War, Dad of Boy, and you get a choice at the start of it. It says, do you want to play like story mode, a balance of story and combat, or combat being the most important element, or play God of War hardcore mode? And I chose the balance one because I'm not really into like finger twitching. But even that's like every 5 seconds, it's like, oh my god, now I've got to have another huge fight with another fucking scary boss. And I don't know if I like doing that. So yeah, we'll see if I keep going with that. I might restart and do it in story mode. Yeah. Look, Stripper, do I think humans will visit another galaxy? Well, do you think I'll ever know? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, will I ever know about it? Almost definitely not. But you know, it's the old how science fiction's always come up with some form of faster than light travel. You know, going through a black hole or hyperspace or whatever. But that's basically magical thinking. It's like, something that we don't know about will come along, and that will solve everything. We're talking about Rick said Fallout for pedometers. Oh yeah, Fallout Go, Pokemon Go. Yeah, why not? Honestly, that I think is the future of gaming is definitely augmented reality. But people are eventually going to be, you know, wearing Google Glass type things and playing real world games. Like I played a couple AR games on smartphone, Pokemon Go, and there's a Walking Dead one, and there's a couple others. But I reckon there will definitely be uh, uh, augmented reality games. It's just that this works occasional AR for Portal. That might be a bridge too far, being able to portal through things. We're deep in our gaming talk. Video games. Do you want? Speaking of Pokemon, is anyone looking forward to the Pikachu Eevee games? I'm not. I had my year or so of playing Pokemon Go. I don't really do it anymore. So I like that. Chapters on. I didn't know that. The fictional universe of Warhammer 40k actually uses the energy of hell to go faster than light for space travel. I did not know that. There you go. Locust Trip, do I think we'll make it to Mars? Yes. Yes, I do. I've actually been having fun watching The Expanse that has humanity divided into three groups. The people who are still on Earth, colonists on Mars, and colonists in the asteroid belt, the Belters. And they love putting a bunch of hard science in their stuff. I'm finding The Expanse quite entertaining. Oh, video games. You're hoping for Kingdom Hearts 3 to be playable at PAX. My kids always love Kingdom Hearts. So they, in preparation for Kingdom Hearts 3, there's a remastered set. Like I think it's on the, I don't remember if it's on the Switch or the PS4. I think it's on the Switch. Could be wrong. Switch or PS4 remastering of all the previous Kingdom Hearts games. And so they were replaying the old Kingdom Hearts games to get ready for Kingdom Hearts 3. Yeah. Locust Trooper, what happened to Pokemon Go? Still going, man. Still makes a lot of money. There was that brief period in history where Pokemon Go changed everyone's behavior, which is astonishing. When you look at what happened, I mean, I think people really gloss over the radical impact Pokemon Go had. You look at it, it completely changed behavior of thousands of people. Thousands of people were out walking around all the time at night chasing Pokemon. And it created a completely unexpected secondary market for those little mobile battery boosters because everyone was running their phone down in an hour or two playing Pokemon Go and they needed to juice it. So they needed the little portable charge. And those things sold, thousands and thousands and thousands of them, which no one saw coming. I mean, it just goes to show something can come out of left field and completely change people's behavior. I found that amazing. I like that chapter. A bit cynical there. Fallout Shelter had the side effect of making Bethesda have a taste for making easy money. Wah wah. So Timothy, I should get an 8-bit controller for Switch. Wireless Bluetooth theme, the NES and SNES themes. Oh, the thumbsticks. Oh, that's interesting. I bloody because I recently changed. Like I played Zelda Breath of the Wild for ages, and like I deliberately didn't finish it. I just kept exploring and exploring and exploring and exploring. Eventually, I went, okay, I'll finish it. I'll go do the final fight and I'll finish it. And I finished it. And, it was satisfying and whatnot. But yeah, now having switched to the PS4 play games, the buttons are all different. And I'm not one of those people who reflexively knows where the buttons are. I keep forgetting where the buttons are, and I have to look and go, what fucking button was that? And like in a fight, why isn't he fighting? I'm pushing the wrong button. Shit. It would have been the right button in Breath of the Wild, but it's the wrong button in God of War. And it's like, and my brain still hasn't shifted to the different platform. As a video game, I've never been that into Pokemon games, not the RPG games or anything. But yeah, there'll probably be a big one on Switch. I mean, what I like for I liked Pokemon Snap on the Nintendo 64. That's a silly game. But yeah, I never got into any of the Pokemon battle games, and yeah, they're all the ones for the mobile ones. Never got into those really. So we shall see. Yeah. So I mean, what I really want is another Borderlands game to come out. That's probably for a straight just sort of shoot 'em up game. I had more fun with Borderlands than any other shooter I've played. Notably, I'm usually really bad as a sniper. Like the previous shooter I really liked was Star Wars Battlefront, but for the PS2, I haven't played the new versions of them, which most people sort of think are fucked up. I really enjoyed the PS2 version of Battlefront 2, and but when you could choose the classes, um, if I ever chose sniper, I was always really shit at it. But I'm a good sniper in Borderlands. Oh yeah, Timothy, I am probably going to get The Last of Us Part 2. Even though I haven't played The Last of Us, I will probably get The Last of Us Part 2. Celtic King, I always give hugs, dude. Rick said, you like Borderlands with co-op. See, I don't like co-op because people are fucked and gamers online are fucked. I just like to be in my own little world and playing at my own pace and not have people yelling and screaming whatnot. So I've never really got into co-op. I just really enjoyed. Yes, definitely group angry hug, Timothy. Yeah. No, I just always steer clear of co-op. Like I really enjoyed GTA 5, and you can play GTA online. And then I just read the stories of all the griefers in GTA online is just like, fuck that. No. Tendai, I think I've played Serious, and that's quite an old game, isn't it? That to me, if my memory serves me correctly, that's quite an old game. Oh, I didn't mind Borderlands 1 solo, but Borderlands 2 was definitely far better. And the pre-sequel was really good too. I enjoyed the pre-sequel as well. Locust Trooper, do I think space aliens will invade us? Probably not. This all ties into the difficulty of faster than light travel. Timothy, did I ever play a Sega Dreamcast? I think I did. Actually, you know what? I think I've got a Dreamcast in a box somewhere. I was walking down the street one day, when people chuck stuff out on the footpath. Someone had put a Dreamcast and a couple games out, and I just took it, and I've never tried to play it. I'm pretty sure that's in a box somewhere in my house, a Sega Dreamcast. Roxanne, you may have been right. Borderlands 2 was such a huge advance on Borderlands 1. It's quite incredible. I recently tried to replay Borderlands 1, and it was okay. It was a bit drudgy, whereas replaying Borderlands 2 or the pre-sequel is awesome. Locust Trip, what do I think is Area 51's not real? It's just one of the 20th century's most enduring urban legends. I don't think Area 51 is real. There were never any aliens landed. There were never any alien dissections. There's no alien technology. I don't believe any of that. Timothy, I should start an angry gaming channel. I guess I could. a lot of people would just say I was copying other people. Not that that would particularly bother me. But yeah, it'd be a bit too much. No locust trooper. I don't believe the Roswell incident happened. I don't believe any of that. I don't believe anyone has ever had an encounter with aliens. I do not believe anyone on Earth has ever had an encounter with aliens. The people who say they have, I think they're either just straight up lying, they're suffering some sort of delusion, or in the extreme cases, suffering from mental health issues. Video games? No, I haven't played Deus Ex actually. See, I don't game that much. I've probably gamed more in the last year than I did in the last 10 years. But it takes up too much time, basically. It's very hard to keep up YouTube stuff and work and social and family and gaming. So if I did more gaming, the YouTube would suffer more. Yeah, for example, Tom DeLonge did, in fact, go pretty nutso about aliens. You are right. So video games, we'll bring up Deus Ex because the line Deus Ex is from the ancient Greek Deus Ex Machina, God in the machine. And what that is in a lot of the classical Greek plays, when the humans fucked everything up, it would be fixed by the gods coming, and they'd literally lower someone down in this winch and pulley system, and they go, and he'd tell everyone what they'd done wrong and how to fix it, and that's the moral of the story. And that was known as Deus Ex Machina, God in the machine, would fix everything. And that gets used a lot. Sometimes people call things Deus Ex. There's more than one thing's been called Deus Ex. There's also a really good comic series called Ex Machina. And as this guy, he gets infected with some sort of alien technology that basically puts like this computer stuff into his body, and he can talk to machines and tell them what to do. And it's a pretty damn good story. No extent, I've never played Deus Ex, never played System Shock. I don't game that much. Like, if you were going to name any game, even big games, 99% of them I won't have played. I do not play very many games at all. Locust Trooper, you were sleeping and a Trump CIA alien probed your ass. I think that's perfectly conceivable. What's that in video games? In Deus Ex, there's a conspiracy theory stuff. The human stuffed up, we need to reverse time like Doctor Who or something. See, I'm a big Doctor Who fan. I grew up watching the original Doctor Who and all its cheesy, low-budget BBC glory. The new Doctor Who I really like. I'm looking forward to seeing brand new Doctor Who a little bit later this year. Timothy, would I beat up Nazis if I wouldn't get in trouble? I think anyone who is straight up promotes Nazism, fascism, white supremacy needs to get beaten up, basically. I'm an old man. I'm not really going to go around hitting people. But I think anyone who promotes that shit fucking deserves it. But yes, there is the problem of it being illegal as well, and cops seeming to be more interested in protecting Nazis than protecting people from Nazis. Timothy, who's my favourite Doctor Who? My favourite one growing up was Tom Baker. He was like the doctor I grew up with. He was also on the longest. He was like my doctor. Of the new ones, they're all good in their own way. but I had I really quite liked what Matt Smith did, like, because Matt Smith was most often doing this childlike naivety wandering around, but every now and then circumstances would dictate he needed to get hard as fucking nails, and he would do it, and he was scary as shit when he was going like, I am officially done with your shit. That was bad. Like, the first time he did it was one of his early episodes called "The Beast Below," about New London, the spaceship out in space, and the space whale that was being tortured to keep it going. And when he worked out a way around it, and he basically going like, "I'm going to have to lobotomize this wonderful creature because of what you fucking humans have done," and what's a face is trying to talk to him about what should happen, and he just snaps at her and goes, no human tells me what to do today. Like, he spent his life protecting humans, and now he's in this situation where humans have done something unconscionable, and he has to let them get away with it, and he's just so fucking done with their bullshit. But where it really came to the fore was with Rory and Amy's Baby and Demons Run, A Good Man Goes to War. And when he beat those bad guys, and he's talking to the woman with the eye patch, and she says something like, you won't do anything bad to me. You're a good man. That's why you have so many rules. And the doctor just said, I'm not a good man, and you don't want to know why I need so many rules. And then when he he beat them, and told the general to make his men retreat, he said, no, tell them run away, because I want you to be known as General Runaway. And he has this whole spiel where he goes about, I want children to torture you and call you General Runaway, because I want people to know what happens when you threaten someone I love to get me. It's just like, oh my God, you're so fucking scary. I thought he did that really well. Feelings here. Tom Baker had K9. Did John Pertwee have him? No. K9 was introduced for Tom Baker in one of the Tom Baker episodes. K9 appeared for the first time. Subsequent doctors had the potential for a K9. Well, Rick said, I like that idea. Rick Mayall could have been a Doctor Regeneration. That has potential, definitely. Yes, that's right, Charlie. The first K9 left with Leela, and the second K9 left with Romana, and then he came back with Sarah Jane. Had K9 when Sarah Jane came back, and was with what's his face, Dave Tennant's doctor. K9 made a resurface. Yes. So Rick said you've topped it there. Rick Mayall as the Doctor and Ade Edmondson as a companion, and the whole season becomes bottom towards the end. Yes. Video games. Dave Tennant had his own style, because he was not childlike. He was the dashing, sexy boyfriend you want. Matt Smith had this childlike naivety thing. So for me, the contrast with Matt Smith was greater. I also liked our most recent Doctor. He's like an angry old man. I really identify with that. Hey, Petty Wallaby, how are you? I thought Dave Tennant was a very good Doctor. I thought Chris Eccleston was a very good Doctor, and we all kind of lost out a bit by him not doing it for more than one season, quite honestly. And I think they made things quite different with an older Doctor, which is good. I'm really interested in seeing what they do with a female Doctor. I think that would be good. Locust Trooper, do I think humans are where apes were a million years ago? I'm not sure how the evolutionary line goes. The split off from common ancestor and different evolutionary paths. Uh, but yeah, it's evolution's a weird thing. See, I think people's biggest misunderstanding with evolution is they look at where we are now and think this is where things were always going to be, and that chain of events inevitably led to us. And so they try and think backwards and they go, well, if humans and apes evolved, why are apes still here? Go, doesn't work like that. It's not about where we are now. It's at the start. Everything's been branching for millions, if not billions, of years, and the diverse paths have been going wider and wider over time. So yeah, Timothy, AngryAussie doctor. Interestingly, that was a prediction I made when Peter Capaldi was the doctor, just before the official announcement, like a couple of days before the official announcement that Peter Capaldi was the doctor. There was a story that the bookies had suspended betting on who the new doctor would be because there'd been this massive plunge on Peter Capaldi. So basically, someone had talked and it had leaked that Peter Capaldi was the doctor, and it wasn't confirmed. But I thought, oh, bookies know, bookies know. So I went. I reckon the bookies are right. It's Peter Capaldi. So about 2 or 3 days before Peter Capaldi was announced, I made a video on YouTube saying, I know who the new doctor is. I'll give you some hints. He's not English. He's older than the recent doctors are, got a bit of grey, and he's most known for swearing a lot. No, it's not me. It's Peter Capaldi, who was most famous for playing Malcolm Tucker, who swore all the time. But then, because that video had been up for a couple of days, and then the announcement came. So people were going on YouTube searching Doctor Who Peter Capaldi, and they were finding my video. So I got thousands and thousands of extra views by accurately predicting it. Oh, he's saying Rick Mail was going to be Peeves in Harry Potter, but he didn't get the job. Wow. Okay. Fair enough. Casting is really fucking. Oh, and hi, nobody, by the way. Huh. Oh, like it's true. If you think if humans didn't do stupid thing like dictators, would our technology advance? Well, a lot of people have cited uh, the medieval Dark Ages as setting us back, a century or two in technological change. And would we be far more advanced if that had never happened? But that's also an incredibly Eurocentric point of view, pretending Europe's the only thing that matters, because Europe may have stagnated for a century or two, but mathematics, science, and discovery continue to pace in Asia and the Middle East. They weren't affected by the European Dark Ages. So that's a somewhat spurious argument, but humans are their own worst enemies all the time. I feel and see the Capaldi and World War Z. The best thing about that is Capaldi was a doctor in the World Health Organization in World War Z. So he was a Doctor Who before he was Doctor Who. Oh, yeah, misfoxification. If the library at Alexandria hadn't burned, who knows what would have happened. Humans have had this reactionary phase multiple times in development. So, but again, maybe that's just what it is to be human. Catherine, but the funny thing about the plague is while it was awful that all those people were dying, and people were so religious, the only conclusion they could draw from this massive level of death is that God had abandoned us, which is probably not a pleasant thought. But afterwards, because of the depletion in population, apparently quality of life for the survivors went up quite a bit, and economically there was quite a boom. But life is complicated. Timothy's a video idea. 12 days on cunts, where you pick 12 cunts from the year and talk about how much of the cunts. Isn't that what I do anyway? Isn't that just what I do? P.G. Wallaby, in the credits of World War Z, Capaldi's credited as Who Doctor. It is nice. See, he was a Who Doctor, then he was Doctor Who. Yes. Oh, video games. I'm with you on that. The discussions on pessimism, existentialism, decay, and self-awareness and stuff in True Detective Season 1. Yeah, Matthew McConaughey had all the good lines in True Detective Season 1. God, you're making me want to go back and re-watch it, actually. I did really enjoy that. Locust Strip, that is the big question. Like, if technology growth from the 1500s went in a straight line instead of dipping for a couple of centuries because the Dark Ages, if technological growth continued in a linear fashion, because you look at our technology change, it's not even linear, it's exponential. God knows what we'd have. The world of 50 years from now will probably be significantly different to us compared to 50 years ago. It's just it's kind of mind-boggling to think about. Catherine, that's not a bad analogy. Bushfires, while destructive, promote regrowth. So yeah, maybe the plague was a bushfire on humanity. Very destructive, but ultimately a source of regrowth. And you're right, Charlie. Jewish people were less affected by the plague because they actually washed. They had hygiene, but they were also regarded as weird for their behaviour. Timothy, a monthly video called "Cunt of the Month." You're pretty set on me doing this, and it's very much on brand. What you're saying, is very much on brand. Miss Foxification, I tend to agree with you. The biggest changes will be blending of virtual and real worlds, augmented reality and whatnot. And yeah, see, the problem with Jetsons cars, is the problem with street cars magnified by several orders of magnitude. Because if flying cars crash, then all the debris rains down as well. I think the thing is, vehicles will be driverless. Vehicles will be driven by computers. And then you'll have flying cars because they'll be so much safer because they won't be subject to the whims of human drivers. They'll travel at a very measured pace and they'll be aware of everything around them. I honestly think people underestimate the impact driverless vehicles are going to have. I mean, do you know what the most common job in the majority of US states is? It's truck driver. And the first vehicles that will be driverless are trucks, the freight vehicles. Freight vehicles will be driverless before passenger vehicles are. And so what that means is not just all the truck drivers being unemployed, but all the support network for them. The truck stops, the places where they get petrol, where they get food, where they sleep. That's an extended economy that will just crash. But the positives, Can you imagine an absolutely stupid amount of urban real estate is dedicated to parking cars? Like absolutely ridiculous. Like a third of all the space in cities is dedicated to parking cars. If cars didn't have to park because they were driverless, like you just got in and you got out and then they fucked off and picked someone else up and they were just all moving around all the time. A third more real estate in our cities because we don't have to fucking park cars. You know, it's just amazing. And well, I think people always talk up the, oh, but the car has to make a decision if it kills you, the driver, or the, that shit won't even happen. But the thing that people underestimate is, okay, cars will be programmed not to hit pedestrians. Can you imagine people realizing they can just step out into traffic whenever they want and the traffic will have to stop for them? You would have to have such harsh laws against jaywalking, or people would just gridlock traffic. Because it's just like, oh no, fuck the cars, they have to stop for me. Their sensors see me and they have to stop. Doesn't matter, I can just walk out into traffic whenever I want. I think people are looking at completely the wrong problems with driverless vehicles. They're misunderstanding the situation completely. We're talking about travel portals, teleportation. I did see who said it. Teleportation means you being killed, basically, you being destroyed, and a simulation of you recreated at the other end. That's a big philosophical question. If what teleportation is disassembling all your cells, all your atoms, and then reassembling at the other end, did that kill you? Did that kill you and just create a copy of you at the other end? You know, what does this mean on a moral level? Like, that's Addison thinking, yeah, I mean, seriously, like, driverless vehicles are coming and people underestimate the impact of them so much, both positive and potentially negative. Some of these glass, the fridge is vibrating. Got it. The fridge is vibrating and two of the glasses were touching. Yes, Mr. Rockification, what happens if there's a fault and there's two of you? Or Catherine, what if? How would it affect your brain function? There was the recent Netflix series Altered Carbon, which I think is based on a book. It was pretty good. It wasn't perfect. Relied a bit heavily on the sexy violence in my mind, but it raised some really interesting things, like when the rich have access to this cloning technology that basically makes them immortal. What does that mean? Is murder still a crime? Is this really that person, or is it a simulation of that person? And it's an incredibly complex question, and they do a good job of raising these questions in Altered Carbon. Like, it's far from perfect, but they do raise some good talking points in it. There's a video game. There's an old game called Creatures, which featured teleportation. We didn't know what had come out the other end. Like it's your brother, thinking man. I do try to think. Yes, video games. Maybe that's how Wheezy Wadey really clones himself. That man is spectacular, by the way. If you've never watched Wheezy Waiter videos, he's very funny and he has a running joke about cloning himself. But he is the fucking master of having conversation. And this shit is really difficult. So, okay, the actual technology of making yourself appear twice in video is not that hard. It's not something I ever bothered to do, but it's not that hard, you know. It's with video editing, it's relatively simple to you. But because you have to record the video at two different times, to have a believable conversation between the two of them is really fucking hard, because you have to remember the timing twice and you have to not look like you're remembering the timing. You have to go like, da, da, then the other one's going to say this, da, da, then the other one's going to say, and you have to look natural while you're doing it. Wheezy Waiter, Craig Benzine, is the fucking master at that. Watch particularly some of his older ones where he's having quite elaborate conversations between his clones. It's fucking next level stuff. He is so good at it. And that just getting the dialogue right is orders of magnitude harder than getting the video editing technology right. The video editing technology is relatively mundane. Having the believable conversations is stunningly hard, and he's so good at it. I'm in awe of the way he does that. Your extent is fucking your clone, incest, or masturbation. These are the questions for the ages. There was a thing in the classic William Gibson cyberpunk novels, one of the original trilogy, the Neuromancer trilogy. I think it might be the last one. So what's the original trilogy? It's Neuromancer, Count Zero, and Mona Lisa Overdrive, I think. And in the third one, someone goes to a space station with a super rich guy. These super rich have been living on clones of themselves for ages. And this guy just talks about how he does this thing where he animates a clone of his daughter, but it has no higher brain functions. And he fucks it and kills it. And I was like, well, have I committed a crime or not? Who knows? Locust Trooper, am I a Friendly Geordies fan? I like some, like anything, I like some Friendly Geordies stuff, and I'm not on the same wavelength of him as other things. I'm probably not going to go to his live shows. I very rarely go to live shows generally, but also, yeah, live shows of YouTubers is not something I do often. Obviously, when you look at the politics of Friendly Geordies and my politics, we obviously have quite a lot of similarities in our politics. More similarities than differences, but we do have differences. So, uh, uh, I think sometimes people think, well, he's on the left and you're on the left, you must agree on everything. No, he's done stuff in videos I don't agree with, and there's no question I would say stuff he doesn't agree with. But that's okay. It's okay to disagree. That's the thing. Sorry, Kevin. Yeah, the Doctor Who thing. Two Amy's. Amy won't stop flirting with herself. There was that story, the Doctor Who story, where it was a time thing where they, in one time, they had failed to save Amy, so she'd aged several decades, and the Doctor had a way to save their Amy, their time, which meant the older Amy would cease to exist, which is like, and there's the big moral question, is that murder? Locust Trooper, do I think Friendly Geordies is funny? I think he's funny a lot of the time. I don't think everything he does is funny, but that's the way things go. I think he's very funny a lot of the time. Hey, okay, I'll make the controversial statement. I think his humor is often classist. And I think he'd get really fucking annoyed that I said that. Not without justification, but if you want me to say something controversial, I think that I find myself looking at his humor sometimes thinking it's too classist. Rukusen, Yilmaz was his magnum opus. What is Yilmaz? Who are we talking about there? Oh, yeah, Biore, that's a good thing. Progressives disagreeing on, should you be nice to John McCain? Look, I don't really want to shit on John McCain's family when he just died, but John McCain was a warmonger and sort of full of shit. He was at least a person of principle, but I I don't agree with all of his principles. But, you know, that's the way it goes. That's it. Friendly Geordie's Turkish mate from school. Yes, okay. I do remember him seeing him do that. I did not watch 9 episodes of the Chronicles of Yilmaz, but I have seen some of that. And yeah, it was pretty funny. But... Oh yeah, Locust Strip. Yeah, he bags bogans. I do think he falls into the trap that a lot of progressive lefty comedians fall into, of lacking awareness that they're being really classist in their humor. Yeah. Feeling silly. Is there another YouTube you'd like to organise a televised boxing match with? Someone was saying this to me, like someone was on Twitter saying they want to get some Australian YouTubers to do the boxing thing. And this guy, and I don't even know who it was. I don't know if it's someone who likes me or hates me, but he said, this is something AngryAussie should be in. And I don't know who this guy was, but he wasn't being mean to me when he said it. So I wasn't mean back. I just went, yeah, dude, are you having a senior citizens division? Because to be fair, that's what you'd have to do. Not like these fucking buff late teenagers or only 20 years olds going at each other. You'd have to have a senior citizens division for me to compete in. same thing. Video games, live streams, SNES drunks competing for attention. Dear. But feeling silly, if there was 2 other YouTubers, I'd like to see punch each other. Oh, probably. You know, it would probably be for stuff that would make me laugh, like people particularly people from the alt-right who ended up having a falling out. They started off on the same side and ended up hating each other and sniping each other all the time. Like, I don't know, like maybe Paul Joseph Watson and Roosh V in a boxing match. That'd be pretty funny because they shit on each other all the time. that to me, from the pure funniest of a boxing match, it would be yeah, 2 figures from the alt-right who used to be on the same side but now hate each other, like Milo Yiannopoulos and anyone. You know, they're just the ones who were on the same side but now hate each other and are sniping each other. Like, you know, different people from the new atheist movement who ended up hating each other. You know, whoever they are, you know, Cult of Dusty and Amazing Atheist or something. You know, just Pat talks me and Barry. See, that wouldn't be fair, Pat, because I'm pretty sure Baring's at least 20 years younger than me. This is what I mean. If you're going to get me in it, it's got to be you're going to have to introduce a senior citizens division. Misfoxification. Caitlyn Jenner and Alex Jones. They might be evenly matched because I think Caitlyn Jenner is older, possibly by a bit, than Alex Jones. But of course, Caitlyn Jenner was a top level athlete, so that might balance it out. Yeah, that could work. Catherine, me and Alex Jones. You could possibly talk to me into that. I'd have to fucking go into training for 6 months. A kick in the yarbles. I like that, Rukusan. That's how to bring him down. A kick in the yarbles. Catherine, you could potentially convince me to get in a bout with Alex Jones. Give me 6 months to do some proper training. I actually did boxing training when I was a youth, growing up in a country town at the Police Boys Club, Police Citizens Club. Police Boys Club was called when I was a lad. Now they're a bit more gender neutral. It's the Police Citizens Club. And hello, Logan Paula. Geez, you've come in the last 5 minutes, mate. No, Catherine, Alex Jones is not that fit. How old is he? I don't even know how old he is. Let me quickly look that up. Alex Jones Hey, how old is Alex Jones? 44. Shit. Christ, I'm almost 10 years older than him. 44. I reckon that'd be a fair fight. Sorry, I thought he was so much older than that. I reckon that'd be a fair fight. Yeah, Larry, Alex Jones would take all his supplements. He'd take his supplements. Yeah, PCYC. Rukusan, the Police Citizens Youth Club, was, when I was a kid, PCBC. It was the Police Citizens Boys Club. But decades ago, they changed it to the Police Citizens Youth Club. In the country town, that was a thing. Go to the Police Boys Club for boxing in country towns. It's really funny because, okay, I'm going to round out with this story probably because almost time to go. I did boxing. Actually, there was one period, and this is when I was about 16, where I did hardcore training for about a year. And I was like, I was actually super fit. And I was sparring with these guys. And it was particularly popular with a lot of the young Aboriginal lads getting into boxing. They liked it as a sport, and some of them were very good at it. And I never actually boxed in competition. Some of these lads did. They were a bit younger than me, and they were much lighter than me. The guy we had a trainer. He was actually an Olympic boxer, a guy called Brian Tink. Was a bronze medalist in the Olympics. So he was a good boxer. He was a funny bloke. Could be a complete prick, but he was a funny bloke. And he would train us, and he got me to spar with these guys who were boxing in competition, which I was a bit freaked out at, but they were younger than me and much lighter than me. So there's one guy who's probably a couple years younger than me. He's probably only about half my weight. He's very good in his division, and he was trying to punch me, but I was just blocking the whole time, and he didn't have the power to get through my guard. So he was tiring himself out trying to get through my guard, because he didn't have the power to get through my guard. And as I saw him getting tired, I'd sort of go poof and punch him. And I was really paranoid about getting beaten up. And he got really frustrated. He didn't like it. And so then he put me with one of the older lads. He was probably only about a year or so younger than me, but he was much lighter than me, but he was much more serious. And so, yeah, he puts me into spar against this guy. I'm going, okay, the guard, keep the fucking guard. And I had my guard up, and I swear to God, it's like I didn't have a guard. This guy's fist would just go straight through my guard and just bang. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? And I mean, he didn't injure me, but if he had gone for me, I would have been knocked the fuck out. Because it's really weird. He was just like skinny bugger, but he was big enough, and he. I'm going like, God, which had worked against the younger guy, God, and his fist would just go straight through, and and then I'm getting paranoid about my head getting punched in, and I lifted my guard too high, so my gut's completely exposed, and then he just go, and so yeah, that and they found it. Then when I was going to year 10, the school certificate exams, I said, I'm not going to come to training anymore. I got to concentrate on the schoolwork. They full on laughed. Like, he said, why are you leaving? I got to concentrate on schoolwork. And he full on laughed. And he calls one of the other lads, no, listen to this. Now tell him, because I'm stopping the boxing to do schoolwork. These guys did not hold school in high regard at all. Yes. Rickerson, you accurately note I will not be going up against Ivan Drago anytime soon. Not even Dolph Lundgren. Like, he must be older than me by a ways. How old is Dolph Lundgren? Age. How old is Dolph Lundgren? 60. So, okay, he's about 10 years older than me, but I suspect he would. Also, he's like a meter taller than me. The guy's so fucking big. Well, okay, it's not a meter taller than me. He's a foot taller than me, though. And I think even at 60, he would probably... Fuck, Sylvester Stallone's 72. He's that much older. My God. But I think either Stallone or Dolph Lundgren would just snot me if they had been training. Logan Paul, how did KSI and Logan end in a draw? Yeah. And that would be my only hope against Dolph Lundgren. That would be illegal to. It would be legal to go for the Yarbles. I would have to do that. It was just the concept's terrifying. He's a man mountain. He might be 60, but I fear that he's still quite fearsome at 60. Oh yeah, Arnie is still capable of looking really buff when he works out for a role as well. Like when he's off season, he is predictably less stacked, but Logan, you like the Jake Paul and Deji fight better. See, I didn't watch either. Didn't also on the support card, wasn't it didn't the Raka twins have a bout against each other as a support fight? I want to know what happened with the Raka fight. Larry, you're out, off to work. Enjoy work. I'm out. I'm off to bed. But see, Willoughby, you next to Jason Momoa, size of a mouse. I love that picture that's going around with Jason Momoa and his bodyguards, where his bodyguards basically only come up to his nipples, and someone's captioned it like, I love Jason Momoa and his bodyguards. He looks like the final boss you have to beat after you beat all of them. But of course, it's not a question of them being tougher than him. It's a question of them just keeping people away from him. Thursday off to eat. I'm off to bed. That talked you maybe onto something. I'd probably be willing to get in a ring with Peter Dutton. But again, you know, he's a cop, ex-cop. I think he knows dirty fighting. Well, look after yourself, all you fine people. As usual, had a wonderful time hanging out with you. Hope you've looking after yourselves. Have a good night, everyone. Like I said, you probably see me less on the YouTubes until next week. You never know. You never know until we get there. But look after yourselves, and I'll see you all again later. Bye now.